Hello, it's March 10th, 2026, and what I'm about to tell you defies everything we've understood in physics over the last 3 centuries. This morning, at precisely 4 UTC, an object we now know as 3I Atlas began a transformation unlike anything we've seen before. Initially, it was roughly the size of Earth. But just 1 hour later, at 5 UTC, its coma had expanded to a staggering 1.5 million kilometers in diameter. Let that sink in. In the span of just 1 hour, this object didn't simply grow, it exploded outward to become larger than Jupiter. I'm Michio Kaku, and throughout my career in theoretical physics, I've studied some of the most impossible scenarios: black holes, string theory, and the multiverse. But what the James Webb Space Telescope and the Atacama Large Millimeter Array just witnessed is not theoretical. It's a physical event happening right now inside our solar system. Imagine this. You're watching a pot of water. Without any heat source or chemical reaction, it suddenly expands to fill the entire room in the blink of an eye. That's the scale of what just occurred. This isn't a gradual process. This is an explosive, rapid change, and it's happening 240 million kilometers away from Earth. NASA's Deep Space Network was the first to detect the anomaly. At first, they thought it was a sensor glitch, a calibration error in the Deep Space Station 43 antenna in Canberra. But then, visual confirmation came in from the Subaru telescope in Hawaii, and the data didn't lie. The coma, the cloud of gas surrounding the nucleus of 3I Atlas, expanded at a rate of 400 kilometers per second. That's not just fast, it's violent, it's explosive. And most concerning of all, it maintained perfect spherical symmetry. Now, think about the energy required to accomplish something like that. To take billions of tons of matter and accelerate it this quickly, with such uniformity, requires an energy source we simply cannot identify on a standard comet. When we look at the data, we don't see the typical chaotic, messy sublimation of ice turning into gas. No, what we see here is a trigger, an event that looks less like a natural outgassing and more like a controlled release. If this were a normal comet, the solar wind would tear that cloud apart, stretching it into a long, thin tail. But 3I Atlas is different. It's holding its shape, and in doing so, it has become the largest single structure in the inner solar system, aside from the Sun itself. And it achieved this size in less than an hour, the time it takes to watch a TV show. The implications are profound. If a celestial body can alter its physical cross-section by a factor of 10 in just 60 minutes, it completely changes how it interacts with solar radiation. It changes its drag coefficient. It changes its trajectory. We are no longer tracking the same object we were yesterday. The physics have changed. The rules have changed. The question that keeps astrophysicists awake tonight is not how it got so big so fast, but why. This is not just a size anomaly. This is a signal. And that's where it gets even more intriguing. What I'm about to show you, the specific chemical signature detected inside that massive cloud, suggests that this expansion wasn't an accident, it was a reaction. To understand why this expansion is terrifying the scientific community, you first need to understand what 3I Atlas was before this morning. 3I Atlas was first discovered in late 2025. Initially, it was catalogued as a standard hyperbolic comet, a frozen rock, maybe 15 kilometers wide, falling into our solar system from deep interstellar space. At first glance, it was intriguing, yes, but predictable. The orbital math was simple, the trajectory was straight, and there was nothing particularly exceptional about it. It was just another comet. But then, everything changed. At 4:12 UTC on March 10th, 2026 today, that predictability was shattered. Let's take a closer look at the data that came into the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The first anomaly wasn't visual, it was gravitational. The Deep Space Network's antenna in Madrid, SS-63, detected a sudden, massive shift in the Doppler shift of the return signal. Now, normally, when a comet outgasses, when ice turns to gas, it creates a tiny push, a non-gravitational acceleration of maybe 0.00001 meters per square second. It's almost imperceptible, but 3I Atlas was different. The Doppler shift indicated an instantaneous velocity change of 2.4 kilometers per second. That is not a small push. That is a rocket engine ignition. Pause and think about what this means. A mountain-sized rock, 240 million kilometers away, just accelerated faster than any chemical rocket we've ever built, and it did it instantly. Skeptics might argue this is just sensor error, but in science, we demand verification. We demand redundancy, and we got it. NASA's Deep Space Network flagged the velocity change. ESA's Gaia spacecraft, which is currently mapping the galaxy, independently verified the astrometric shift in position within 0.03 arcseconds, and the Subaru telescope in Hawaii cross-referenced the optical brightening. 3 independent sources, using different methodologies, came to the same conclusion. This was not a glitch. This was a physical event of immense power. But that was just the first anomaly. 30 minutes later, at 4:45 UTC, a second anomaly appeared. This is where the physics start to break down. The coma, the cloud of gas, expanded to the Jupiter dwarfing size of 1.5 million kilometers. Now, according to standard thermodynamics, when a gas expands that quickly in a vacuum, it should cool down rapidly. In the vacuum of space, it should have dropped to near absolute zero almost instantly. But the James Webb Space Telescope's near-infrared NIRCam, instrument pointed at the center of the cloud, and what it saw defied explanation. The core temperature didn't drop, it spiked. The infrared spectrum showed that the nucleus was glowing at 800 Kelvin, or 500 degrees Celsius. That's an unimaginable temperature for a comet that's far from the sun. In the vacuum of space, comets are supposed to be frozen solid at around minus 200 degrees Celsius. But this object was heating up from the inside out. To heat a 15 kilometers rock to 500 degrees Celsius in under an hour requires terawatts of power, more energy than the entire nuclear arsenal of Earth combined, released in just 60 minutes. Where is that energy coming from? That's the question we're left with. A natural comet has no internal power source. It's essentially a dead rock and ice. It can't heat itself. It can't steer itself. But the data from 3I Atlas suggests that it is doing both. The physics here simply don't add up. When I approach this from a theoretical standpoint, I have to ask, did 3I Atlas collide with something? If it did, yes, you would expect to see a cloud of debris. You would see heat, but you'd also see chaos. What we're seeing here is symmetry, a perfect sphere, and a controlled expansion. The cloud is not drifting away, it's staying centered on the nucleus, implying gravity. But a 15 kilometers rock doesn't have enough gravity to hold a cloud of gas that big. It's physically impossible. So, what's going on? Is there something more massive inside that rock than we initially thought, or is something else holding that cloud in place? That brings us to the third anomaly, the one that the Atacama Large Millimeter Array, ALMA, just sent to the server banks in Charlottesville. They analyzed the molecular composition of the massive cloud. They were expecting to find water, carbon dioxide, and the usual suspects. What they found instead was something never seen before in a comet. And when you see what elements are floating in that cloud, you'll understand why NASA just reclassified this object. As we dive deeper into the data, the third anomaly that was detected at 7 UTC is where things truly start to get strange. The Atacama Large Millimeter Array, ALMA, the most sensitive radio telescope on Earth, finished its spectral analysis of the massive cloud. This time, they were looking for typical cometary elements: water, methane, carbon dioxide, the usual suspects. But what they found sent a shockwave through the control room in Santiago. The spectrum clearly showed unambiguous signatures of metallic vapor, specifically ionized titanium and vaporized iron. Pause and think about that for a moment. Titanium and iron do not vaporize until they reach temperatures of nearly 3,000 degrees Celsius. We already established that the core temperature was 500 degrees Celsius. But to vaporize metal, you need the heat of a blast furnace. You need the kind of energy that comes from rocket exhaust or star-level temperatures. Where in the universe is a comet getting enough energy to vaporize titanium? The sun is too far away to supply that kind of heat. There's no friction in space, and no chemical reaction known to science that can produce that much heat inside a ball of ice. Even Dr. Avi Lobo from Harvard, who's long argued for the possibility of artificial interstellar objects, said this morning, "The presence of heavy metallic vapor in a cometary coma at this distance is unprecedented." And when someone at that level reacts like this, when the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics starts running emergency simulations, we need to pay very close attention. This isn't just a minor oddity, this is a monumental shift in our understanding of what's possible in the cosmos. But as if all of this wasn't bizarre enough, there's one more piece of the puzzle that can't be ignored. Just an hour after ALMA's findings, the Hubble Space Telescope's Wide Field Camera 3 captured something that would change everything. In its final calibration pass over the object, Hubble detected something that wasn't in any prior data, something that wasn't supposed to exist. Inside the coma, instead of the usual chaotic mess of jets and dust that we typically find in comets, Hubble captured a coherent structure, a ring, a perfect luminous torus of plasma exactly 2,000 kilometers in diameter, encircling the nucleus. This is where things start to defy everything we know about comets. Plasma doesn't form rings naturally in comets. Plasma requires a magnetic field to confine it, a strong one, but a 15-kilometer rock doesn't have a magnetic field. It's an inert, dead object. Yet, 3I Atlas is generating a magnetic field 80 times stronger than Earth's. Where is this magnetic dynamo coming from? Where's the iron core? Where's the liquid metal spinning deep inside the object to generate that kind of power? If this is a natural object, then we have to rewrite every textbook on planetary magnetism. But if this is something else, something artificial, something beyond natural comprehension, then the implications are terrifying. A magnetic field that's strong, combined with a plasma torus, acts as a particle accelerator. It traps high-energy particles and creates a radiation belt. And right now, that radiation belt is beaming a signal directly at Earth. At 9:12 UTC, just 1 hour ago, the Hubble Space Telescope detected something further that would completely alter our understanding of 3I Atlas. This was no random static hiss. It was a narrowband radio transmission at 1,420 megahertz, the hydrogen line, the frequency that SETI has been listening to for 60 years. This signal wasn't just a random interference. It was loud, clear, and modulated. It was repeating a sequence of prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and then it would stop only to repeat again. This is not a pulsar. This is not a quasar. This is mathematics. When the signal was first detected by the Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia, the operators initially thought it was interference. But when they checked the source, It was coming directly from 3I Atlas. Within 30 minutes, the European Space Agency confirmed the signal. The Chinese Fast Telescope confirmed it too. In 70 years of radio astronomy, we've never received a coherent mathematical signal from a comet in our own solar system. That alone tells you the magnitude of what we're dealing with. The object expanded, it heated up, it vaporized metal, it formed a magnetic field, and now it is broadcasting arithmetic. This is not behavior. This is intelligence. Or, at the very least, this is technology, a level of technology we've never encountered before, and we're still not finished. What I'm about to show you next is where it gets even more inexplicable. Let's break it down to the facts we know with absolute certainty. At 4 UTC, 3I Atlas was the size of Earth. By 5 UTC, it expanded to 1.5 million kilometers, larger than Jupiter. By 6:15 UTC, it began pulsing light every 13.8 minutes. By 7 UTC, it vaporized titanium and iron, reaching temperatures of 3,000 degrees Celsius. And at 9:12 UTC, it generated a magnetic field 80 times stronger than Earth's and began broadcasting a prime number sequence. These are not theories. These are documented observations verified by NASA, ESA, and 3 independent observatories. But one question remains unanswered. Why is the expansion of the coma perfectly spherical? If this were an explosion, the debris would be scattered and chaotic. If this were a collision, the cloud would be messy. A perfect sphere implies containment. It implies that the force pushing outward is exactly equal to the force holding it in. In physics, we call that hydrostatic equilibrium. Stars do it with gravity, but 3I Atlas doesn't have enough gravity to do this. So, what's holding that cloud together? The answer to that question could change everything we know about physics. If it's scenario A, an exotic form of dark matter interaction we haven't discovered yet, we're looking at a revolution in our understanding of the universe. If it's scenario B, a natural reactor gone critical inside a comet core, then we're witnessing the rarest event in the universe. But if it's scenario C, the one the data points to most strongly, the implications are staggering. A magnetic field that strong, holding a plasma torus in place, creating a perfect sphere of superheated gas. That is the exact description of a magnetic confinement fusion reactor, and we struggle to build these on Earth. They are the size of buildings, but 3I Atlas just built one the size of a planet in just 1 hour. The clock is ticking, the sphere is growing, the signal is repeating, and whatever 3I Atlas truly is, we're about to find out. Stay tuned. As we approach the next critical moments, the situation only becomes more complex and concerning. The current data suggests something so extraordinary that it challenges every concept we hold in modern physics. The comet's growth and behavior are now at levels that we have never, ever observed before. What is happening with 3I Atlas? The expanding coma, the heating of the nucleus, the vaporization of metals, these phenomena point to a power source far beyond what we can explain. As we continue to track the object, the scientific community is left with more questions than answers. The growing intensity of the radiation pulse, the regularity of the prime number sequence, and now the size and speed of the expansion suggest that this is no ordinary comet. It's as though the laws of physics themselves are being rewritten in real time. The data indicates that the object's expansion is following a pattern more akin to a process than an accidental event. A controlled release of energy, that's the only way to explain the structured behavior we're seeing. It is as if this object is not only alive, but possibly sending a message. But who is it communicating with, and what exactly is it trying to tell us? One of the most perplexing aspects is how the expanding cloud is maintaining perfect spherical symmetry. The physical implications of this cannot be overstated. The only things in the universe that maintain this kind of structure are stars or artificial constructs such as fusion reactors. And yet, here we have a tiny 15-kilometer rock that is not only expanding at an unprecedented rate, but also maintaining perfect spherical symmetry as it grows. The energy required to sustain such an expansion is beyond the capabilities of any known natural object in our solar system. What we're seeing right now is something that is manipulating matter and energy in a way that defies the standard rules of physics. Whether this is a new natural phenomenon, an anomaly caused by unknown forces, or something entirely artificial remains to be seen. But we are witnessing a cosmic event so rare, so inexplicable, that it could forever change our understanding of the universe. If this object is indeed something artificial, then we are on the verge of discovering technology so advanced it makes anything we have here on Earth look primitive. And the countdown continues. In less than 4 hours, the coma of 3I Atlas will reach the orbit of Mars. The telescopes are locked in and the detectors are live. As we watch the data stream in real time, we are no longer just tracking a comet. We are tracking a process, an event unfolding before our very eyes, and the implications of what we're witnessing are truly monumental. What is 3I Atlas? Is it waking up? Is it refueling? Or is it preparing to leave? As the clock ticks down to the moment when 3I Atlas crosses the orbit of Mars, the mystery deepens. Every passing minute, the expansion accelerates, and the pulse grows stronger. The data we are receiving is unlike anything we've ever seen before. If you zoom out to a cosmic scale, what was once a faint speck in the sky is now a massive, glowing sphere pulsing with energy. This is no ordinary celestial body. It is an object that is manipulating matter, energy, and even space-time itself in ways that were once thought to be impossible. The signal is repeating every 13.8 minutes, getting louder and clearer, and the magnetic field continues to grow in strength. As we move closer to the critical moment, the possibility that 3I Atlas is something beyond our current understanding becomes more likely. Could it be a form of technology that we have no concept of? A signal from an intelligence so advanced that it is capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe? What we do know is that we are on the verge of discovering something monumental. The scientific community is on high alert, with researchers and astronomers around the world monitoring the object as it approaches Mars. The question now isn't just about what 3I Atlas is, it's about what it means for us. Are we witnessing the birth of a new chapter in human understanding, or are we witnessing a signal from a civilization far beyond our own? Whatever the truth may be, the implications are staggering. If 3I Atlas is indeed a form of technology, a communication device, a propulsion system, or something even more advanced, it could open up a whole new era of exploration and discovery. And as we continue to gather data, we are only scratching the surface of what could be one of the most important discoveries in the history of science. The clock is ticking, and the journey is just beginning. Will we uncover the secrets of 3I Atlas? Will we find out what this object truly is? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. We are on the brink of something extraordinary. And you won't want to miss a single moment of this incredible journey. Stay tuned as we continue to track 3I Atlas and uncover the mysteries it holds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest developments. The next few hours could change everything we know about the cosmos.